What's going on, everyone? You are very welcome to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, brought to you by printmypint.ie. Whether you have a corporate event, wedding, or birthday coming up, make sure you check them out on printmypint.ie. Thank you very much for their continued support. We couldn't do it without the lads, and they are doing great things with everything they have going on. So give them a look online and on social media. Coming to you week 6 of the NFL regular season. We are a third of the way through. It is hard to believe. Time is just flying by. Jimmy English, a very tired Jimmy English, didn't get back from London until 2 o'clock this morning, thanks to an unnamed airline who, for legal reasons, we can't mention, but plenty of Irish NFL fans sitting in Stansted, angrily waiting to get back to Dublin. So got home in one piece eventually. Connor Tate is your name, and Stephen Kearns as well as usual. Lads, we have to talk about Thursday night football last week first, I think, because the Giants knocked off the defending champions Philadelphia Eagles in shocking fashion, 34-17, thanks in large part to their two rookie superstars, Jackson Dart, who came in, who many questioned when he was brought in place of Russell Wilson, and none other than Cam Scatterbo, the Tasmanian nutjob from Arizona State. I mean, that was some score to wake up to on Friday morning, Connor.
Incredible, and nothing summed up that game more in the quarterback change more than when Brian Daboll went storming into the blue tent, which
you got in trouble for
any coaches, as Jackson Dart was getting assessed for his concussion, and he headed in there as soon as Russell Wilson dirted his first pass. So he had nightmares or PTSD of the Russell Wilson 4 weeks in New York. So Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, it's real. There's hype in New York, and the Giants could be a contender in the NFC East.
Yeah, definitely. Like when Russell Wilson dirts his first ball and like the crowd boos, like it's like get him off the field, get him out in New York. His career is done. He's going to be a perennial backup if he doesn't retire. Like he's going to be a worse version of Joe Flacco, to be honest, at this point, if he doesn't retire. But as I said last week, Jackson Dart and Skidabo, if they were healthy and good to go, the Eagles didn't stand a chance. And like, you wake up Friday morning, you see that score, and then you see all the memes of Skidabo in college where he'd warm up by literally headbutting the wall over and over and over again. And then all the highlights of him running touchdowns in college, and people are like, why do people think this guy's a 4th round pick? He's a nut job.
Yeah.
And them two together, they're the new engine of this New York Giants team. And Giants fans actually have something to look forward to. Big Blue is actually looking big and mean for first time in God knows how long.
I mean, when Malik Neighbors blew out his knee, everyone thought that the Giants season was over. But Lil Jordan Humphrey, I mean, he's come out of nowhere out the practice squad and became Jackson Dart's favourite receiver and favourite target on Thursday night. I mean, stepped up in a big way. The future's actually looking pretty okay in Big Blue at the minute. And Cam's got about 2 touchdowns, a crazy amount of yards gained. I mean, you look at his highlight reel from that game, and he seems like to be the steal of the draft at this stage when you compare him to other running backs who are taken higher, like the likes of Omarion Hampton for the Chargers and Ashton Genty for the Raiders. They had a lot more kind of hopes pinned on them, whereas Cam Scatterbo was meant to be nothing more than a special teams player, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you get drafted in the 4th round, that's what people think you're going to be, especially in your first couple of years. But it kind of surprised me when he had Arizona State. I don't know how many people actually watch Arizona State football, but they were very good last year. And when they had that national game against Texas in the playoffs, the whole world is watching. So everyone saw what Cam Scatterbo was about. And he carried the Arizona State team all the way through that game. It was literally on his shoulders. So it was a surprise for me watching the draft in the day 2 and day 3. And you see Daniel Jeremiah's top big board. Right, top 100, top 200, and you can still see Cam's name there. Like, it's a bit like Shador. Shador took all the press, but why on earth is Cam Scatterbo still there in the 4th round? My biggest concern about the Giants and Dart and Cam is, it's week 6, and we're starting to build the hype up. They play very aggressive, but it does lead to injuries. And neither of them are smart. They don't slide, they don't get out of bounds, they always seek contact. So that my biggest concern is one of them goes down again, and the spark that they generated quickly dissipates. But for now, ride the wave, New York. Enjoy it, because it's been a while since you've had this much fun.
Seeing Jackson Dart like just shouldering guys out when he's scrambling, and all the captions where he's hanging out with Cam too often. He needs to slide. He's a quarterback.
It's real though.
But people are giving out about the Giants not teaching their quarterback, their rookie quarterback, how to to protect himself. I think it shows amazing heart and just incredible toughness that he's putting his.
Yeah,
It's not as if he's leading. He's not leading with his head as Scalabo was. He is protecting himself to a certain extent.
Yeah, but
that just shows that
when you're the perennial franchise guy, you want to be sliding because
JJ McCarthy has led with a lot of heart for the last 2 years. How many games has he played?
3?
No, he's got 3, right? No, 2 even. And blowing his knee out in a preseason game has nothing. That was bad luck the way he planted his foot or the way he got hit at the time. But if you're reckless, you saw Carson Wentz the other day got very, very lucky last week when he led with his shoulder. Two plays in a row, ends up going down for a X-ray. Somehow manages to get back in the game, right? But that very easily could have been a different outcome. So you got to be smart because it's all good to have this heart. And once, and like on third or fourth down, a key moment in the game, you got to lower your shoulder. But every time, you're going to be on the sideline cheering them on. Come on, guys, let's go, let's be brave. Yeah. He's cheering on Russell Wilson next week if he's not smart. So just stay healthy because my goodness, he's so good.
Well, it just goes to show you that the Giants, they made the right move. The risk has paid off for Daboll because Russell Wilson, he came in relief duty and I think he had 2 incomplete passes and like the entire tenure of MetLife just completely changed. Yep. Boos raining down. So Russell Wilson, his days are definitely done in the Meadowlands. But
I will, before we move on from the Giants, I will make one wild prediction and we can check in a couple of years. I think Cam Scalabo, while he is a great running back and he's got that engine and stuff, I'm going to call him Peyton Hillis 2.0. After 3 seasons, he's going to become obscure. He might land on the cover of Madden, but after 3 seasons, he's going to become Mr. Obscurity and he's going to be gone.
You're not a true NFL fan unless you played the version of Madden with Peyton Hillis. I think it was it Madden 08 or 09?
Well,
later than that.
Don't hold me to it. I think I'm going 12.
Okay. I think I had that on the PS2 actually.
Yeah, but
back in the good old days. Speaking of a former Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones, or as he shall henceforth be known as Indiana Jones, not Danny Dimes, as Twist correctly pointed out last week. He continues to get the job done for the Colts with a victory over the Cardinals yesterday, and the Colts are looking like a true contender in the AFC and perhaps for a potential Super Bowl contender, Connor, at this stage.
We're at week 6, and the Indianapolis Colts, the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're real. It's real.
We're in the upside down. That's all I have to say on that matter.
I mean, who could have called that, right? But it's like the castaway quarterbacks. We got 5-1 Daniel Jones. We got 4-2 Sam Darnold, and we've got 5-1 Baker Mayfield. Buccaneers, top of the NFC. So it's remarkable, and I think you'd be ignorant to not see the trend that these quarterbacks that have been completely disregarded are not incredibly talented and in the right situation can be brilliant. So kudos to Daniel Jones and the Colts. They're real. Jacoby Brissett gave the Cardinals a real spark. I thought this week Kyler Murray might be in trouble for his job. They were asking him about the new training facility Arizona are going to release in 2028. And they say, "Hey, Kyler, what do you think about it?" He just goes, "Yeah, great. I hope I'm here to see it." and it's a great response, but it's real. Like Kyler Murray's days may be limited in Arizona, but hey, long ride the Colts, man. What a performance! What a gutsy win.
Yeah, definitely. Like seeing the Colts come out and swinging, and Indiana Jones proving that he lived up to his draft hype. Just that New York wasn't where he needed to be. And as Connor mentioned, same with Baker, same with Sam Darnold, same with all the other quarterbacks who were drafted high and they just landed with the wrong team or the wrong system or too much pressure and expectation was put on them. And I think it goes back to my argument that these rookie quarterbacks, there are a few exceptions, but these rookie quarterbacks should really be nurtured behind a veteran for at least a season, where possible. Injuries are going to stop that, but where possible. It's the old system of let them sit, let them learn, let them see the game at full speed, at professional speed versus college speed, let them see how a veteran plays, and not just throw them into the wolves, because you might get a guy who shines, like Jackson Dart is shining right now, or you might see Baker Mayfield, who, well, he fought like a dog in Cleveland, and he won scrappy games, and he's doing what he was doing when he was doing now with the Buccaneers in Cleveland. they did jettison them because their expectations was too high. And now I guarantee you they're looking at Baker going, what did we do?
I think as well, quarterbacks are, so that's obviously a part of it where teams are QB needy, and they see the sensational quarterback in college and they're like, right, we can bring him in and have immediate success. But a lot of quarterbacks aren't ready for the NFL after 2 or 3 seasons, and especially these days, quarterbacks are coming out even after 2 seasons, and they're just not ready to go. So, it's definitely great to see the likes of Darnold flourish where he is now. And Seattle had a great game yesterday as well. He had an absolute bomb to Smith and Jigba at one stage during that game. And look, Baker Mayfield will touch on that later as well. But I think, Twist, you might be onto something. You look at the likes of Aaron Rodgers, who sat behind Brett Favre in Green Bay for a few seasons, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time now. And the likes of Tom Brady sat behind Drew Bledsoe, Roethlisberger sat behind Maddox, Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, and they're all future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, like we've gone through this before in a previous podcast. We've gone through guys who just recently retired or are from the like 2000s, the early 2000s draft class, and you list the guys they sat behind, and well, the guys they sat behind weren't great. 90% of them sat for a couple of months, sometimes a year, depending on injury status, and that gave them the time to learn. Whereas you're seeing, as Connor mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, the era now is instant gratification. We want our shiny toy on.
But I think that's just part of our society as well. The instant gratification. People want things and they want them now. And I think
they want mentioned this podcast now.
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully they want the podcast now. But I think it comes down to social media as well. I mean, plays a large part of it. I think our society is just now. Hook it into my veins, and when things don't work out, quarterbacks are then tainted because coaches are like, oh, he's nothing more than a backup. I mean, you look at poor Dylan Gabriel in Cleveland, and we'll touch on the Steelers game now in a minute because I do want to talk through that. But I was reading an article on him this morning, and whoever was writing was saying that he's nothing more than a backup quarterback. And I don't think that's fair. I think he's been put in a tough situation in Cleveland, where Cleveland had just completely mismanaged their entire quarterback situation.
Since 1999.
So I don't know. It's crazy.
Before we flip onto the Steelers, like quarterback controversy with like Kyler Murray, and Jacoby Brissett, we have to touch on the big controversial news that came out with the Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa saying at the conference that players are skipping practices, players are not going to meetings, players are they've given up. So
Mike McDaniels is in big trouble.
How long now until we see the front office of Miami clearing house? Is Tua going to be the franchise guy going forward? Like, is it going to be just clear house of staff? Or are they just going to go, yeah, we're going to take it on the chin with Tua, jettison his contract, and basically start from the studs and tear this baby down?
I think one more loss is the final straw, Connor. Where the head coach, Mike McDaniel, has obviously lost control of his team. If players aren't showing up to player-only meetings, that means the players are done. They don't care. They have no respect for themselves or the organization. So I think the Dolphins as a franchise, to avoid any further damage, have to cut this off now, kind of cauterize the wound and start fresh. And look, Tua's a good quarterback. He had great success in Alabama. I don't think he's cut out to be an NFL quarterback really as a starter. He might be a good backup somewhere else, or maybe like we were just talking about, he might need to go to a better system where he has the tools, he has the environment, he's nurtured, he's not thrown in, like some of the other quarterbacks we mentioned.
That was a really poor judgment call from Tua at the podium, and he played a good game. And Miami played a good game. The Chargers are a good football team. I mean, we were singing the praise of the Chargers a few weeks ago as the runaway favorite for the AFC West. And trailing by 6 points, the Dolphins went down. The completely discombobulated Miami Dolphins drove 75 yards down the field to score a go-ahead touchdown with 40 seconds to go. I mean, that's not a football team that's in disarray. That's a well-organized operation, well-drilled. And they were this close to sacking Justin Herbert on that final Chargers drive and ending the game. And Justin Herbert goes Iron Man style, I don't know, for want of a better word, manages to shrug off the sack, step through it, and check it down to McConkey. He makes a quick move, and he suddenly is 40, 45 yards down the field and it's a chip shot field goal. I mean, it's such fine margins. You're talking about the Dolphins win there. Maybe their season is back on track.
Yeah.
And you've just got to try, and someone's got to whisper in his ear before he goes to the podium. Maybe they did. Hey, we were close there. Just, put it on you. I got to do better. I got to work harder, whatever it is. But to throw your players under the bus, it never, ever works. It's never a good look. And
well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it might, if he's meant to be the leader of this team, the leader of the offense, the face of the organization. I think desperate times call from desperate measures, and Mike McDaniel
in the locker room,
still often
room,
publicly can get it done as well.
In front of the media, no. You go in the locker room, you pull guys aside. Hey, this has got to be better. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to attend this. We got to show up for coach, whatever. But in the media, you keep it as vanilla as possible. You give them absolutely nothing. Because all week now, what are we going to be writing about? Look at what we're talking about. Instead of just all the Dolphins are fried.
I have to agree with Connor there. You keep your in-house stuff in-house, because if you give the media even a smidgen of a problem, it becomes a firestorm. They keep picking at that scab becomes a wound, that wound festers, the team collapses. I mean, what motivation does the Dolphins' offensive line have to block for Tua now? He didn't look like a leader out there basically shit-talking his teammates. Like, what motivation does Waddle have to do, like put himself in danger going like across the middle to catch a ball?
Like he did.
Like, why would he do that going forward? Tua, like, going out and talking about their business. I think, Daniels has lost the locker room. I don't think he's going to be around much longer. He will make a fantastic offensive coordinator for somebody next year. But I'll be surprised if he lasts by the trade deadline.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that November 4th, I believe, is a trade deadline. So one more loss. I think he'll be on his way. And speaking of other teams who are in big trouble, the Jets, lads. Oh my God, Jets and Broncos in London was one of the worst games.
9 sacks and 9.
One of the worst games I have ever had the misfortune of. I was up out of bed at 3:00 on Sunday morning to get my flight to Stansted Airport to get down for this game. And look, don't get me wrong, I love international games. There's a great atmosphere there. Great seeing all the fans coming out in force. Great seeing all the different jerseys on the flight over. The Irish NFL fans definitely well represented in London. So great seeing everyone there. But I mean, apart from Bo Nix's touchdown, there was just nothing going on. I lost count of the number of of field goals and punts and everything that was going on. I mean, it was just dire to watch, Connor.
Dire. You summed it up perfectly. Dire, but a huge win for Denver on the road. And I've said it time and time again, these international games throw up the weirdest performances. And that was one of them. And we spoke last week about the Broncos being the runaway favorite, and hopefully the Jets can keep it close. Well, unfortunately, it required the Denver Broncos to stoop to New York's level in order to have
big time.
At least we got a close game. But it was. I mean, how long is this segment meant to be? Like 3.5 minutes? I don't know how we're going to drag it out. It was dire. Absolutely. The clock management. Oh,
again, God, don't get me started. That final 40 seconds. I was watching it in the stadium going, what is Justin Fields doing? Take a second time out here. And then, but he was just
lost it.
He was over like looking like with his arms spread, looking at the sideline, waiting for a call. And he just literally call a timeout and run a play.
Well, it's.
Sorry, no disrespect to Giants. The Jets, running a fake field goal before halftime and then kneeling it out. Like, what was the point of that? And then Justin Fields, 9 completions, sacked 9 times, minus 10 yards passing. Everyone on the planet finished with more passing yards than Justin Fields.
They had 2 first downs the entire first quarter. Literally 2 first downs, and they came with like less than 5 minutes left in the first quarter. In the first half, 2 first downs in the entire first half is just. I mean, he was consistently under pressure, so a certain amount of reprieve to him for that. But I mean, even when he had plenty of time on plenty of his dropbacks, and he just could not get the ball out. And then he was scrambling, he was running for his life, and he was getting sacked. I mean, 9 sacks in one game is almost unheard of.
Yeah,
the Jets had the ball on their own 40-yard line with the game on the line, down by 2, only needing the field goal, and maybe the star of the show, Nick Folk, because he looked automatic, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
So it says it all. And for Denver, my goodness, they got away with it. They did not look good at all, but they can fly home the winner of a dire game. So congrats.
Speaking of terrible teams, we should roll on to not the Browns. We'll get there. The Dallas Cowboys.
I just want to talk one more thing before we get there. I read something interesting earlier on, and that was the fact that Robert Saleh was fired last year after the London game. It'll be interesting if Aaron Glenn has a similar fate. I mean,
well, no, Aaron Rodgers isn't on the team bitching about him.
But still, I mean, to travel and put that kind of performance on,
I know.
It just inexcusable. And you know when you have a player like similar to we had Travis Kelce obviously yelling at Andy Reid a few weeks ago, different kind of scenario, but one of your star players is like publicly, like you said, Connor, having a go at your head coach on the sidelines. Things are not good.
Yeah, and I can relate to that more than going up to the podium. At least at the podium, you know, you've had time to de-escalate. You've had 5-10 minutes, maybe a shower or whatever, you know, being able to get into the locker room and just de-stress a little bit from the situation. Whereas Garrett Wilson's literally on the sidelines watching it unfold in front of his eyes. You can understand him flipping. And let's face it, we live in a time where player power is real. So that sort of incident captured on live TV, and they go into halftime, that's all they're going to talk about is what the heck just happened. So I can relate to it more. Is it wrong? Yes. But I can see why he did it. And it's less wrong than what Tua did in a calm situation at the podium, a real direct, I'm going to go at my players. That's just passion.
Okay, twist. Cowboys and Panthers. Cowboys giving up a game to the Panthers here. Best game the Panthers have played in a long time. Bryce Young, I was watching the highlights earlier. He had a fantastic game. Look, calm and poised in the pocket. Rico Dowdle ran for 200 and something odd yards against his former team, which is the most yards by a player against their former team in NFL history, by the way. So big night for Dave Canales, and probably the biggest win of David Canales' career as well.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young going out, dropping 3 touchdowns on the Cowboys and taking a win home from them as well. Like, you know, you flip back to the podcasts from last year, we talked about Bryce Young. We talked about how he needed to grow up. He needed to focus. Like, he didn't look like a good quarterback. There's memes of him showing up like at the start of the season where he's busy distracted playing the virtual games on a Jumbotron rather than like during the timeouts and stuff, rather than actually talking to his teammates and focusing and stuff. Completely different player this week against the Cowboys. And I just have to laugh. All the highlights of George Pickens, well, yes, he's a talented player, purposely like trying to do stupid jumps and wrestling moves and I'm like, dude, you want to fight? Go to UFC. Like this is not like WWE.
There's a reason the Steelers got rid of him.
Yeah, like I know WWE and UFC are the same company now, but it's neither of those. Like, go join there. You want to fight? You want to jump around? You want to do flips and stuff? Off you go. Like, catch the ball, put the shoulder down, run. Don't purposely try and like start a fight while you're running down the field. But then again, that was his MO in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Cowboys definitely ain't looking like them boys.
Where do the Panthers are kind of an unknown. I saw them play last year in London as well, and was it London? No, sorry, I saw them play in Germany last year, and Bryce Young showed flashes at that stage, but he's definitely come on, Connor, as a passer. And look, maybe it's just like we alluded to earlier, it just took him a bit of time to settle into the system and get comfortable and to grow into the role as a Panthers leader.
Yeah, I find it ironic that Dallas fans were terrified of Micah Parsons coming back to bite them, and it was Rico Dowdle who they really should have been worried about. That was an amazing performance by him. And as for the Panthers, that's a big signature win for Dave Canales, who hasn't really been given any credit so far. Not that he's particularly earned much credit in Carolina, given the record, but they're now 500. They're in the NFC South, which it looks like a runaway favorite of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Atlanta and New Orleans don't look anything special. So that second place and potentially a 7 seed, 6 seed, and a wild card is definitely there for Carolina at 3-3. And Bryce Young, so far, is just getting better with each week. He's as happens, right? Normally with young quarterbacks, they tend to get better the more snaps they take, the more coverages they see. So Carolina could be a sort of 10-7 team, I think, this year that could be sniffing the playoffs if they can put a few big wins together and with a a slightly easier schedule because you get New Orleans and Atlanta 4 times this year, so that's 4 games where they can win. So I happy for Carolina, and as for Dallas, that is not a good enough defense to go and win a Super Bowl. So I think they're going to be waiting another year for a Super Bowl appearance. Whilst Dak Prescott and the offense are still running well, Pickens did have a great game. It's not looking like a championship year in Dallas.
Yeah, the Cowboys sitting at 2-3-1. Don't forget they played against the Packers.
That's a weird record.
So they've got a fairly abysmal record to rolling into week 7. So Cowboys fans maybe panic.
Speaking of teams, speaking of quarterbacks that have grown into their roles in, I suppose, a short time frame, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers had probably their most complete team performance yesterday against the Browns. Now, I only saw bits of this yesterday. I had to watch the game back this morning because I was in transit, and public Wi-Fi on the Stansted Express or Stansted Airport is not the best. But again, Rodgers, obviously, the first 2 quarters were fairly quiet. 3 field goals from Boswell. Your kind of typical AFC North slugfest as we had anticipated. Steelers did move the ball but couldn't cross the goal line. But then it was in the 3rd and 4th quarter where we saw some big passing plays from Rodgers. Connor Hayward kind of came out of nowhere. Aaron Rodgers directed him to get open in the end zone, and then a connection. That was great to see. I love Connor Hayward. Love seeing him get involved and getting his touches. And then that touchdown pass to the highlight reel to DK, where he had the pump and DK around the slant and go and just blew by his defender. That was special to watch. And it was kind of a vintage moment for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we did take a while to get going. It was looking like my type of AFC North game. Defensive battle, slugfest. Relying on the leg of Boz to win it for all, as per usual. But we couldn't run the ball. Nobody had the longest we had, Jalen Warren 52 yards, Gainwell 22.
And that's been an issue we've had all season, is getting chunk yards on the ground. That still needs to be. That's the one thing I would say we need to fix right now.
I will say, going into this game, you didn't know what to expect. Rodgers did heat up at the end. That touchdown to Connor Hayward was great. Connor Hayward 1 for 12 touchdown. Literally, that's his only catch of the game. Only play of the game. Myles Garrett talking all the talk before the game, saying he can't wait to add Aaron Rodgers to his graveyard.
One tackle.
Going into that game, Broderick Jones was tied for giving up the most sacks. Into the league going into that game. Myles Garrett, no tackles, 2 assisted tackles. That was it for the game. The Steelers, once again, shut Myles Garrett down. Browns continue not to be able to win in Pittsburgh. It's now 22 games in a row, I think, they have to win in Pittsburgh. Dylan Gabriel, he did have flashes. He did look like a decent, quarterback. There was a couple of times where the score was low and he was making drives, but I wasn't too worried, but he could maybe possibly give people some pause for thought for possibly taking the lead role of Browns. I will say, even with injuries to the Brown offensive line, TJ Watt very quiet.
TJ Watt very quiet, but we did have 6 sacks.
I know, but when you expect your superstar pass rusher to have more than 5 assisted tackles. So both lines done well enough to hold each other's superstar ends off in that game. But Connor, how did you feel about watching it, or even highlights?
Yeah, mucky field, clean game. This
I love
that. This was by far and away Pittsburgh's most complete performance. You guys, you're pessimistic as always, but you should be very excited from watching this. It was 9-3 for a while. It may as well have been 39-3. The Browns were within 6 points, but they were never going to score. This was complete control from Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers looks great. He loves tight ends. He's always loved tight ends. Mercedes Lewis, Jimmy Graham. He got big guys involved in this game, and Washington had a big game early on in the game.
Yeah.
Got Johnny Smith involved in the game. Great catch from Connor Hayward in the end zone. How good does Aaron Rodgers look booting out to his right time and time again? That ball is on a wire, on the money. Pittsburgh look great, and they're running away with the AFC North. There's nobody close. Pittsburgh are going to be resting starters by week 14 with the way it's going. And not because they're sensational, but because nobody has won a game other than Pittsburgh in the AFC North since, I think, week 3.
Yeah.
So it's all falling Pittsburgh's way. It's looking really, really good. That was a great day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Avoided the trap.
I do agree with you that myself and Twist are pessimistic as always, and perhaps that is something we need to work on. So we'll go away, and at least I will go away and try to be more optimistic this week, Connor. But what you did mention the mucky field there, and it almost cost us our kicker. Chris Boswell had a slip on a missed field goal, and I saw I actually managed to watch that live, and I saw the ball kind of scutter over the line in a weird kind of angle, and I was like, what happened there? And they showed the replay. And Boswell slipped on the dry turf and almost did his ankle. So that's something that the grounds crew in Pittsburgh, I don't know if it's because of pit games or if it's bad weather or what's going on.
It was a pit game the night before, that's why.
That's very unusual that happens when you have back-to-back games in Acrisure Stadium. So look,
that's quite common, man.
Well, I don't think it's that common, really.
It is. That's why the Steelers end zone. Remember in Dublin we had the big Steelers as the logo. That's why the Steelers end zone says Pittsburgh at one end, because it's for the Panthers.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but you wouldn't think it would happen that often during the season where they have back-to-back home games. Anyway, look, almost cost us a kicker, which is not great. Couple of things though, Twist, for the Steelers to clean up on would be, 4 or 5 dropped interceptions. Juan Thornhill had one in and out of his hands. Joey Porter dropped one as well. Good performance though from our in terms of sacks. Nick Herbig had 2 sacks. We had Jalen Ramsey had 2 sacks, which he said afterwards that's something he's going to tell his kids about.
Yeah.
The time he had 2 sacks in Pittsburgh. So look, definitely a best performance of the season, and all things going well going into the Bengals game on Thursday night.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Bengals game, Joe Flacco did not look impressive, but then again, he only stepped off a plane 40 minutes ago, 4 days previous before he went out and played the Packers. So the Steelers, no Flacco, we've played him for decades at this point. We know how he plays, we know what he's like. So Thursday should be, it still has that trap energy for me. These divisional games, especially with banged up opponents, always has that trap air about it for me. But just looking at the remaining games, there's a couple we should probably talk about. We have to go into our love corner.
We will. We'll go into our Baker Mayfield segment now. Dark horse for MVP, Connor. After that performance yesterday, especially missing all of his starting receivers, Emeka Egbuka going out with an injured hamstring, and he still managed to put up 3 touchdowns.
In the space of 3 plays, he flipped that game, because there was 2 4-1 teams that are really well matched up against each other, going tit for tat. It was 20-19 at the time, and he escaped on that 3rd and 14. A miraculous run, physical, real Baker-esque, reaching over for the first down, and then 2 plays later steps up in the pocket and rips it 60 yards to Tess Johnson. Just brilliant. Baker Mayfield is playing great, and I saw this described the other day, and it's like, well, Baker Mayfield 2 years ago was cocky and arrogant, and now he is confident and full of swagger. And nothing's changed at Baker Mayfield. It's the same chirpy responses in press conferences. It's the same aggression and energy on the field. It's just the fact he's in the win column now that people are happy with it. So good for Baker, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the number 1 seed as it stands in the NFC.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield continuing to shine. 17 out of 23, 256 yards. 2 touchdowns. And as you said, in the third quarter where he shrugged off the sack, shrugged off the tackle, and reached for the first down, he's just put the team on his back this season and has the Buccaneers as the top team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, if you look at that, escape from that sack, at that point, Baker Mayfield had a 3.4% chance of getting a first down.
How did they work that out?
I don't.
Next gen stats, AI.
AI. But that's what the statistic was, that at that moment when he had that many defenders around him, his chance of a first down was 3.4% chance. And Baker Mayfield just said, "So you're telling me there's a chance?" And he unleashed that dog the way he does, and he just threw himself across that line. And I do agree, Jimmy. He is him and Daniel Jones probably front runners for MVP right now. Like they've completely, like Daniel Jones has revived his career. He's taken the Colts to the number 1 seed AFC so far, and Baker Mayfield's done not revived his career, but as Connor said, he's confident. You know, he's got that swagger. He's putting the team on his back, and he's brought them to the number 1 seed in the NFC. They have to be in the MVP talk. It can't just all be superstar names. And I mean, let's be honest, Baker Mayfield is a superstar.
I mean, Daniel Jones more than likely is going to win the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award, just the way he has rejuvenated his career and established himself as the leader in that Colts team. Baker Mayfield, look, I mean, I don't know what is going on this season, but when you have the Colts and the Buccaneers as two of the favorites for the Super Bowl, in my mind, things are just making no sense whatsoever. But like, it's great to see. You love. I know we keep coming back to it, but you do love seeing quarterbacks, you know, who struggled earlier in their career and have been cast aside by their former teams, or several former teams. In the case of Baker Mayfield, getting back to winning ways, Connor, and becoming the face of the franchise. I mean, Daniel Jones, if he keeps going on this trajectory, and there's no reason why he shouldn't keep going on this trajectory, should be the Colts franchise quarterback until he retires. And Baker Mayfield should be in a very... I don't see... Baker Mayfield is the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are Baker Mayfield. You can see how those two have just come together to put something special together there. And when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka are back, God help anyone who faces the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and this is maybe slightly abstract because they're both playing extremely well. But in my opinion, it's Baker Mayfield who's at the forefront for that MVP conversation over Daniel Jones. And the reason why is because who is Daniel Jones replacing in Indianapolis? A string of quarterbacks that haven't been successful. Whereas Baker Mayfield had to come in and fill the shoes of Tom Brady. That was it. Yeah, so the way he is...
Tom who? Never heard of him.
So the way Baker Mayfield has molded his way into the Tampa Bay way is sensational coming from where he's come from. It's remarkable, and for me, he's my favorite in the conversation. At the moment, it's way too early. It's week 6. Let's have this conversation again around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Chris, anything you want to add? Or can we talk about another potential Super Bowl matchup we had on Sunday Night Football between the Chiefs and the Lions?
No, I think we've loved up Baker enough.
I love how Baker Mayfield, it's just every week we have a segment on Baker Mayfield, because, I mean, in what world does any podcast in the past have a section on just the Buccaneers? Like, it's just the way they're playing this season.
I hope the Buccaneers podcast has
obviously it's the Buccaneers podcast, but a normal football podcast, if you want to call it that. Chiefs Lions Sunday Night Football 30-17 in favor of Patrick Mahomes and co. And this just shows you how how the Chiefs can get it done without really lighting things up, because Patrick Mahomes only had 3 attempts over 20 yards, Connor, last night. And yet he found receiver after receiver. Hollywood Brown had 2 touchdowns, one on a really, really nice little shovel pass behind the line of scrimmage from Mahomes. And the Chiefs' creativity and offense is just something special, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. And they came back to that option play down the goal line that they ran back in the Super Bowl years ago. This was their first Super Bowl. That opening drive of that one down there in Miami, they ran that QB option off the reverse pivot, and you just think Andy Reid's gone back 6 years in his tape to see, okay, this one's probably going to work again today against Detroit, and sure enough it does, and Patrick runs it in. Yeah, as you say, they're not lighting it up, but it's Kansas City. It's archetypal Kansas City. The first couple of years bombing it deep, but now it's just the way they can dink and dunk their way down the field. Travis Kelce, as old as he is, still getting involved. A big key piece last night in a big win. And nobody had shut Detroit down. We always talk Kansas City offense, but we never really mentioned the defense. And what a performance on them to really slow down Detroit last night and hold them to 17 points, a team that had gone above 30 points the previous 4 weeks. So a good team performance in Kansas City. They are back.
Yeah, especially Twist after they had kind of gone away for a while earlier in the season when they were missing the likes of Xavier Worthy and couldn't really get things going on offense. But I think that the biggest talking point from the game is the scuffle afterwards between Brian Branch and Juju Smith-Schuster, where Branch was allegedly getting retaliation for a block in the back earlier in the game. Smith-Schuster reached out his hand, Brian Branch slapped it away, and there was a fracas afterward, which is never a way you want to see a game ending, in the NFL.
No, I mean, like, Juju's not really known for fighting. He was never that type of person when he was in Pittsburgh for the first 4 years of his career. So I don't know. Maybe he's seen Travis Kelce shouting at Andy Reid too much, and that's rubbed off him the wrong way.
I think he was just defending himself. Really, because
I
I
know, I
watched.
know, I know, I know.
I mean, Brian Branch was the instigator there, but like it's.
But I mean, like, it's the Lions, the Chiefs. I'm still sticking with the Lions. Super Bowl windows closed or closing. Like, it's fractionally like there. I don't think they're going to make NFC Championship. They'd be lucky if they make NFC wildcard. And yeah, the Chiefs beat them up, but they beat up the Lions who are struggling. Connor saying the Chiefs are back. I'm still holding judgment. I still don't think the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl unless the Chiefs make the AFC Championship. It's a failed season for them, and I think they'll struggle to get there at the moment. I mean, the Bills will probably be an issue for them when they eventually get to that point. If the Ravens can come back and bounce back and somehow go on a run to get to the playoffs,
That's a big if.
yeah, they could hold them out. But I think if the Chiefs do get deep into the playoffs, it's going to be down to other teams being so banged up that they're just going to have, if you will, easy games. There's no such thing as an easy game in NFL, but not facing the best guys. I don't think the Chiefs are contenders for the Super Bowl, and the Lions are definitely not contenders for the Super Bowl.
Right now, both of you, who is your AFC and NFC championship game predictions? Twist, we'll start with yourself.
NFC, I'm sticking with Green Bay, but I'm going to put in the Buccaneers.
You have to at this stage, really, the way they're playing.
And then AFC, it's going to be Colts. And I'm going to get a little bit rid of the pessimism that Connor has mentioned. I'm going to say Colts Steelers.
Ooh, Colts Steelers. That's very interesting.
That's going to be mad. Like, Steelers going back to the days of running the 6th seed or the 7th seed to get to that point. But yeah.
Connor, what are you thinking? Connor has frozen on us. Connor hasn't been paying attention for the past 3 minutes.
Very
far away. Connor, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we have you back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just chopped. I heard the question. I was like, I better cut the Wi-Fi for a moment because I'm really going to have to think about this one. I like Pittsburgh in the AFC, man, and it's not just because of you guys. Here's the thinking behind it: very good quarterback, very good defense, cakewalk of a division. They're going to have the last few weeks to, by the looks of it, the way it's going, to rest players, to get in a rhythm. They're going to have a high seed, maybe not the 1 seed, but a high seed. So they're going to be playing at home. It's cold in Pittsburgh, so I like them to go deep in it. And at the moment, with the way the Colts are playing, I really like the Colts too in the AFC. However, I'm going to go Buffalo because they're a better football team. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh against Buffalo, AFC Championship, if that's the way the seeding works out. But I like those three in the mix. Let me go over to the AFC, and I'm not ready to rule out Philadelphia just yet in that ruckus, but I do like Green Bay, I like Philadelphia, and I like Tampa Bay. So any two of those three, and again, not worrying about how the seeding is going to go or which way. I will take Green Bay and Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, two teams. I mean, the Packers didn't exactly blow away the Bengals last night, and they have an injury as well to one of their top receivers, Dontavian Wicks. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, from my perspective, I think AFC at this stage it has to be the Colts. I'm going to follow Twist's suit. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic. I know when we signed Aaron Rodgers and we saw the way our defense was aging, I kind of had given away my hopes of the Steelers making a deep playoff run. But hey, why not? Steelers Colts in the AFC Championship game, and NFC. The love we have for Baker Mayfield in this podcast, we have to go with the Buccaneers. And I'm not ready to give up on the Lions just yet. I think they only had a glitch last night, so I'm going Buccaneers Lions. A matchup we're going to see on Sunday Night Football this weekend coming, which is definitely the highlight of the upcoming games for me. I mean, you have two heavyweight teams, two quarterbacks who found new homes with new teams, high-flying offenses, good solid defenses. Connor, I mean, we normally look ahead to Monday Night Football, which we're not good. Well, we'll talk about it in a second quickly before we wrap up. But I just looking ahead at the slate of games here, you have Cowboys Commanders in the NFC East. That's going to be a good game. Cardinals Packers could be interesting. We also have, I think that's it really. Vikings Eagles. Your Vikings are back after a bye week. I mean, still some really interesting games the week ahead. But I think that Sunday Night Football matchup is between two heavyweights is going to be the highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, it's one that if you're debating whether to stay up or not stay up, because it's probably going to be a really, really good game. I'm gonna go out on a limb. It's going to be better than Broncos Jets from this week.
It wouldn't be hard, really.
But it's going to be the pick of the bunch. There's a lot of crucial games and divisional games coming up next week, which are really, really key because we're getting to that stage in the season where you're getting deep into it, and you're maybe losing a game and throwing away this season because you're at week 7 and the trade deadline's coming up, and you're thinking, okay, now we're going to trade our players, or maybe we get the win that we needed, and maybe we're back in the wild card hunt. So we're getting serious now in the NFL, and of all the games next week, that is Sunday Night Football, and by coincidence, certainly the pick of the bunch.
There's one game that you didn't mention that I think could have the potential to be a great game to watch. It's 9:05 Broncos Giants. Bo Nix versus Jackson Dart could be a good game. If the Broncos can recover from jet lag, and like the London plague that brought them down to the Jets level. Sorry again, Giants fan. Jets level.
I mean, it's easy to get those teams mixed up. They do play in the same stadium, but they're both having very different seasons.
Well, they were both so bad for so long. They were both the same. But yeah, Broncos Giants could be a good game if you're looking for a Sunday night game to watch before the Lions take on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have work next Monday morning. I was going to save my late night game for the Packers and Steelers the following weekend, but I think I might just have to brave the first half at least of the Buccaneers and Lions because it's going to be a great game. We're not going to get too much into it because the time this podcast goes out, it'll only be a few hours away from Monday Night Football. But I'm loving the Monday Night Football double headers they're putting on at the minute. 2 games every Monday night on ESPN. Tonight we have the Bills taking on the Falcons and the Bears taking on the Commanders. Connor, just quickly, Bills need to bounce back after losing to the Patriots on Monday Night Football. This is the second straight week they've played on Monday Night Football. So Josh Allen needs a big win against the Falcons.
Yeah, they do. And the Patriots, it's not the end of the world if Buffalo drop 2 in a row. They're still a good football team, but especially with New England winning continuously, and New England put on a good performance against a feisty New Orleans side. They do need to keep up with the Patriots in the East, and then Chicago needs to make sure their season doesn't capitulate against the Commanders like it did last year.
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to possibly steamroll the Falcons to get a bit of frustration out for losing to their division rival last week. Commanders, there's Scary Terry's not playing again. So if the Bears can keep Jaden Daniels contained, then they can hopefully not cause a season collapse by losing to the Commanders.
Well, lads, I think on that note, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you very much both for your time. Always a pleasure talking ball with you boys. Thank you again to our sponsors, Print My Pint. Make sure you check them out on their website, printmypint.ie, and do keep them in mind for your next event. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Gaelic Gridiron. Like, subscribe, share, all the usual. And lads, I will see you all next week.